I am so excited to introduce you today to Kelly Howard. We're going to talk fitness, and the key is consistency. Welcome, Kelly. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm doing great.
No, I cannot wait to dive into this. From the minute that we were introduced to one another, I felt like, oh, this is just such a natural fit, and we're just going to have a lot of fun with it today. And I love when my listeners get to hear somebody else kind of saying the same thing so that they're like,
Right? I
oh,
know. I know the exact same thing you're saying. I'll be like, well, Lindsay said.
yeah. And if she says it, then it's right.
Right?
Yes. Oh, I love it. All right. How did you get into fitness? Give us your background.
Sure. So a little bit on the roundabout way. I I had a company and I was always enamored with this other business in Houston. It was an outdoor activity club. And I would do anything to help these people. Like I was always promoting them and blah, 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 everything. And then one day the guy told me, he said, I'm going to shut this down. I went, what? This is like
Oh,
the best thing we have going in Houston. Like I thought it was better than my business. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to shut it down. And it just like came out of my mouth. I said, I'll buy it. And he said, okay. And going into it, actually, I was a long distance skater. Like, that's what I did for fitness at that moment in life. Like I just finished like an 86-mile skate race and I was in shape, but I wasn't an outdoors person. So I buy this company and I have to learn how to go biking and go hiking and go backpacking and go kayaking, right? I'd learn all these things. And I just fell in love. My whole fitness came from being able to do all these things that I just was like, wow, coolest thing ever. And I eventually sold that company because I wanted to focus on just really helping women dial it in. Like, not just, it's not just about what you weigh or, if you get to the gym 3 days a week or anything like that. It's like how you feel, what you can do, having those dreams, right? So that's how I got into this.
I love this. I
Thank you.
love the paths that everybody goes down to like finally get into that niche. And now, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but could you ever see yourself leaving your current journey?
The only way I can see myself leaving it is if I just stop working, right? Like
Mhm.
I love to work, quite frankly. Like I'm one of those people who likes business and
Yeah.
likes work, but I could see at some point just deciding that I'm going to stop and just travel for a number of
Mhm.
years, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
So tell us about your business and what you're doing.
So what I do is like I am not a personal trainer. Like a lot of times people be thinking, "Oh my goodness, she's a personal trainer. She's going to give me an exercise plan." No, not at all. You just said about the different paths people get to fitness. Everybody has that. Whether we're in the fitness business or we want to be healthy and fit, like everyone has something different that really resonates with them.
Yeah.
And I help people figure that out. I help them work with the mindset around this whole thing because a lot of times we tend to believe that it's what we weigh, it's getting into that pair of jeans in our closet that is going to make us feel good. And I don't really think that's the truth. So when
Mhm.
I work with people, what I like to do is work with them so that they can have consistency because that's the one thing I see like there's this shame around saying that you're going to exercise and not exercising. Like I
Mhm.
just see it again and again and again. Next week, I'm going to start. Next month, January 1st, whatever it is. And if it doesn't happen, then there's this shame and you feel bad and then it gets worse. So I'm all about let's start small. Let's figure out what's going to make you happy. And let's start learning how to be super consistent because that's the first steps. And and if possible, I love to dangle a little adventure out there for them too. Like, maybe we could train for this or maybe we could go do that.
Oh, agreed. Oh, we're soul sisters in this whole thing. And our journey is just this little by little by. And my question for you, because we are both preaching this, and like I feel like people come on very slow, that it's like one of those things that like I hear you. And that's even what I love about podcasting is because it can let it sink in and then settling into their journey. What are some of your biggest frustrations? We're forever battling the microwave society of wanting quick results, and they're being fed these messages that it is about getting in the jeans and it is about the scale. So like, how do you combat that?
Well, I mean, if I'm being 1,000% honest, I have that too, right? Like there
Mm-hmm.
is that thing where there's that pair of jeans hanging on my closet door that I used to wear and I don't wear now. And I'm like, oh, should I be fitting into those?
Yeah.
And so I can't, I have to be like so understanding,
Yeah.
right? Like just so understanding because we have this, like you said, the microwave culture that, quick fix, it's, lose 30 pounds in 30 days, or, it's go jump, all the things that happen to people. And when we can step back and work with people to stop and step back and go, okay, sure, have that dream, right? Whatever that thing is that you want, have it. And at the same time, care for yourself enough right now that you don't do the things that don't work. I'm not big on a lot of the special diets out there. And I'm not going to just like name things off, but I don't think they work because they take away our joy, right? I mean, it's like I had someone yesterday. She's like, well, I'm not going to eat this, 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 and this, and blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not ever coming over to hang out with you because you're not going to be any fun. So let's just talk about having a little fun while you get to where you want to be.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
you
That you
know,
nailed it with joy. If
yeah,
something's not joyful, why would we ever keep showing up to it?
right, right.
Yes.
Because you can't, well, I always say, like, if it's not fun, it's not sustainable.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing, if it's not joyful, if we're not excited, if we're not like lit up by something, we're
Hmm.
not going to do it. Like, you're going to get bored and it's just one day you're going to wake up and realize, oh, I forgot that I was doing XYZ. So,
Right. I think about this. I had a client say it the other day too, and I keep reiterating this. The mindset of abundance versus scarcity, and that you're talking this way in fitness too, and I talk about it a lot in nutrition, and just like how can we add things in that we like and that fulfill us and that make us joyful. Versus to your client's point of I'm taking it out, I'm not having it. No, no, no. It's like,
yeah.
no.
Well, when you
It,
do that, what happens? You throw a
right.
temper tantrum, right?
Yeah.
That your inner self just throws down. I used to have this cat who wanted to go outside, right? I didn't want to let her outside. She was crazy. And she would throw herself down in front of the door and just howl, right? Like, ah! And that's what people do, right? Like when we deny everything. And this is I am somebody who does this program called Sugar Freedom, where we do stop the sugar for 30 days, but
Hmm.
it's a reset. It's not a forever, because if it
Hmm.
was forever, I mean, no one would want to talk to me, right? Like, so you just like do a reset and then figure out what's going to work for you, not never again.
Yeah. Tell me too, how does that transfer over into movement as far as do you have any resets with movement? Anything that kind of gives them that jump start?
Yeah, I do. I mean, what I like to give people what I call stairs. So you start with your one first week is a base and then a build and then, a buff is, because I would needed 3 Bs, right? And then a rest. And so in doing that, you're kind of allowing people to start kind of small, but build up and see advancement without like without I get okay, let me rephrase this. I get a lot of people who are like, I don't like the gym. Like that's the thing. And that's why they don't work out. I don't like the gym. And I'm like, but you don't have to work out in the gym. Like there's so
Right.
many other ways to work out, right? So let's stop and say, give me 5 things that you enjoy doing. And let's break them down into ways that they can become a workout. Yeah. I mean, I love strolling through the woods. Well, then why don't I, break it down and make it into a training hike? Just things like that. Because if we open our minds to the possibility that it's not just right, going to the gym or doing your cardio or whatever, or doing your burpees, it's not just that. There's just so much more. I mean, it's really movement.
Oh, absolutely. I've even gotten to the point where I feel like movement comes out of my mouth way more than exercise or fitness
Oh
because
yeah. Yeah.
it's taken better.
It
It's
is.
accepted.
And
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so good for us if you think about it. I mean, like all the studies show that people who live longest are the people who move.
Hmm.
It's not
I'm
that they're
banking on
running to
that.
the gym. Huh?
Yeah. I said I'm banking on that, right?
Right? Me too.
Uh, so I want to dive into this because you definitely say adding a touch of adventure to fitness, and you got to experience that a little bit through your business. Can you give us some real examples of people who put in that adventure in their life and kind of like what were some outcomes of all of that?
Oh, yeah. I had a fun one last year. So last year, in my inner circle, there was a group of 10 of us, roughly 10 of us. And almost everybody in there had not really done anything, outside their comfort zone as far as fitness went. So I said, okay, let's have something to work towards this time. And we worked toward, I set up a trip in the Smoky Mountains. And there's some pretty strenuous hiking there. So I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And immediately everybody was like, oh, wait, that's way more than I'm ever going to be able to do. Like they were worried. And I said, no, what we're going to do is just break it down, right? Small steps. We trained for about, I don't know, I don't remember exactly the number, but call it 5 months, maybe 6, maybe 4, I don't know. But everyone who went on that trip, every person did amazing. And we took some hard, like, we didn't take the easy stuff. We took some of the harder hikes out there. And in the end, everybody was so pumped and excited. Like, my goal for them was that each day at the end of the hike, not only did they feel good, but they weren't exhausted.
Yeah.
Right. Because I mean, I can get someone out there and take them for a long hike. And at the end of the day, they're going to be like, nap time, I'm done.
Right.
Right. And instead, everybody was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then I showed them all the things that they need to do. Right. And everyone did it. Like we'd go out to dinner afterwards, we'd stay up and chat and laugh at the evenings. And it was so exciting to see those boundaries broken.
Yeah.
We also did, like one day we did they took duckies. I don't know if you know what duckies are. They're kind of like inflatable kayaks. And so we took duckies down a whitewater river. It wasn't a huge river. Like it was a doable river. But everybody was so stoked at the end because nobody thought they could do this. Like it seemed scary. It was it was pushing borderlines, everything. And everyone did amazing. And so it's just like, being able to do things that you don't think you could do. And this crowd was not puppies, like probably from 55 to 64, roughly. Right. So, not like it was a bunch of young people. It was just women in this age where they didn't think they could do it. And then they went out and did it. And so that, like, if you think about it, now they're never the person they were before, they're going out and taking friends on hikes and they're going out and doing adventure vacations. And so they'll just never go back to who they were before.
And is that becoming one of your most favorite things to see as somebody not check the box? I don't think that's the right way to say it, but just like step over that line of that new
keep pushing. Right. Like, and I'll keep pushing them too. I'm taking some people to Costa Rica and I'm like, and then we're going to go canyoneering and then and they're all like, big eyes. Right. And I'm like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I promise.
It's so funny. I have an example on this too. I had, she like was a nanny for my youngest, and I'm like, you need to do this triathlon with me and my family and friends. Like I know you don't claim to be a worker outer, but like, I really feel like if you train, you can totally do this. And when you come out of it, you are going to just like be so stinking proud of yourself type of a thing. Well, we're in the triathlon. She's cursing my name, like eating every step. And I have to say, it wasn't in the moment of the triathlon or even the finish line that I got what I thought I was going to get out of her. Like I actually left that day like, maybe that was a whoopsie doodle. Like maybe I pushed too hard and I wasn't listening, or I wasn't And anyways, 3 years later, I get a text from her, and it was one of those like Facebook memory pop back things. And she sent it to me and she goes, "This is like one of the things that I'm the most proud of in my life." And I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Wow.
Greg."
Isn't that awesome?
It was awesome.
It
But
is.
yeah, it might not feel instantaneous, just like we've already been talking about.
No. Oh, no, no. I did a 25K the other day. And in the moment, it was not one of my shining moments. I was like, this was a dumb idea, Kelly. Like
Tell
I
our
always say
listeners
to
what that
myself,
mileage looks like. What is 25K?
it's about 13 and a half trail miles. So it was a trail race. And
Okay.
I didn't train. I did all the things I tell people not to do. Um, right? Like a mom, do as I say, not as I do. That's
Yeah.
exactly who I was in that moment. But then when I look back, it was after everything was over with, I was like, you did that. So now
Mhm.
what do you do next? Right? Good job. And
Yes.
you never go back to that person. So I love like triathlons or Olympics or just whatever it is. In the moment, it hurts.
Hmm.
But afterwards, you're right. Like it is something that you've done that when you do certain things, like it's like jumping out of an airplane or whatever it is. Like everyone has these things that are past where you want to go. But when you do them, you're a different person,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's growth, and you can't go back from that growth that happened. I'm sure you come up against this with your clients as well. Do you have a lot of talks around people's barriers, thinking like, I'm done, I'm over this phase of my life?
Well, when people first find me, yes, absolutely. I have people go like, yeah, that might work for my sister, but that's not going to work for me. And it doesn't really matter. Age is such a relative thing. Like it
Hmm.
could be someone who's 48, it could be someone who's 70. It just really doesn't matter. When we get into our heads that, well, that's for those people. I like to show examples not just of other people, but of themselves. Like, let's do this thing. Okay, look at that. You just did that thing. Now, how about that? And I am not above tormenting people too. Like I'm like, yeah, not moving is what's going to kill you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You're like, I'm going to give it to you straight.
Your choice.
I read it was a research article, and it said that movement decreased dementia by like 65%. It was either 60,
Wow.
65%, somewhere in there. And it like blew my mind, because talk about like aging and worries within aging is
Yeah,
and you're like, wow, that can be
that's
that much
huge.
of a buffer in that area.
Amazing. And you can feel it. We took off for Thanksgiving, and it wasn't that kind of trip that I would normally take where I'm going to go, paddle for a week or something like that. It was driving around with my husband. I don't know what got into him. So no exercise, right? And then it just kind of like kept happening. And
Yeah.
I'm doing little stuff, but not big stuff. Had a really good workout. And I woke up and I was like, there, there you go. You can call it consistency, Kelly, but if you're not doing the things that really make you wake up feeling amazing the next
Yeah.
day, then you're probably slipping back a little bit.
Interesting. I think it's interesting too. You and I talk, we're coming to everything, lots of grace, like do what feels
Mhm.
good, but then I'm hearing things out of you that are a little more hardcore, like you've got the hardcore part in you too. And so do I, honestly. I've run marathons, but I also have a lot of love for this area of just move, just walk, just like
Yeah.
I used to count a walk to the park with my kids in a stroller. It counted. But I even heard pain out of you, like that conversation with a client, though, that expectation that sometimes it is a little not comfortable. There's some discomfort, and it's okay. Like, where do you go with that?
I am very, very upfront with people because if they see my pictures, they know that I like to play hard. Like that's who I am. I'm I'm a big whitewater paddler. I'm a big, I like to play hard. And I know exactly what it's like to be terrified of going out for a walk in the woods with other people and being the one that holds everybody back. I know how that feels. I have worked with people for years. One of the things that I run into is that fear of, I'm going to slow everyone down. I'm going to hold people back. I'm not going to be able to do this, so it's going to impact everyone else, right? Even if it's like a holiday and I don't want to go on the walk with everybody because I'm going to be the slow one. So I get that. And I always ask people to walk that fine line. And the fine line is do what you can, give yourself grace, like you said, just keep moving and always think and shoot for more, because it's that more that's going to keep us going. And so you're right. I mean, and sometimes it is going to hurt. Like, it's life.
Yeah. And I always feel like it's one thing to be in discomfort and then you end the workout and you're fine, or maybe need to ice a little or whatever that looks like. And as long as you're waking up the next day and able to keep going,
exactly.
That's like a normal push through versus if you're waking up and you're debilitated the next day, then too much.
You're right. I mean, and it's funny because I am somebody who I will do anything to keep people from getting injured. Like I've had it all. Like I have done it all to myself, right? And I don't want anyone to be injured. And sometimes I have to have that conversation. There's a difference between injury and lactic acid buildup, right? Yeah. There's a difference between injury and having sore feet the next day. So,
yes,
and sometimes we're so afraid, and it's a smart fear. We're so afraid of getting hurt that we don't push.
Yeah.
When we can push, I mean, our bodies are amazing. Our bodies can do things that, I mean, I just come back again and again and again and watch what people are doing. And actually, a quick story. One of my early people, this was back when I still had my old company. I was taking a group for a hike, and I live in Houston. Okay, this is not a hilly place, but we have one place in town that has a little bit of up and down. So, in a little bit of, let's call it 10 feet up, 10 feet down kind of thing. So this person showed up, and she gets out of her car, and she has a cane. It's not a walking, it's not hiking pole.
It's a cane.
And she said, "Oh, I just showed up. I just told myself if I got here to the parking lot, that another time, maybe sometime in the future, I could actually do a hike with you. But I just wanted to tell myself that if I got to the parking lot, it was a win." And I was like, wow. But you're here. So let's do this thing, right? Yeah. And so everybody pitched in. Everybody helped her. It was difficult for her. It was difficult. But everybody was like cheering her on 100%, and she did it. So about 5 years later, for her birthday, I think it might have been her 60th or 65th birthday, I get a text from her. She's at a trailhead. She's getting ready to go to Yosemite Falls. She has taken, which is a tough hike. I know this hike. She's taking 4 friends with her, and she is just traveling around the world doing this thing. Like, wow, right?
Yes.
So it's just, sometimes you just have to kind of push yourself a little harder, break up barriers.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great story.
I just love it. It still gives me chills when I tell that story. It's just like, it was so perfect.
Yes. Yeah. I had a friend who had started, she was losing weight and started just telling herself, just walk from house to house. Just even if you make it to 5 down the street, and then all of a sudden the consistency of it started making around the block, and then started noticing the grass smells and the laundry, and going, oh, there's a moment where she started to like it. And fast forward, this woman has run 15 marathons, I think, and continues to do the halves and tries. And you're just like, wow. just that journey of what if the consistency wouldn't have happened? What if the
Yeah.
joy of it wouldn't have kicked in? And it took a little
Yeah.
bit for the joy to kick in, but once
It
it did,
does.
once she found the joy component, like off and
Yeah.
running.
I just love it. Like, I mean,
Mm,
because that's a life completely changed. And not just her life, right? It's her
right.
family. It's her
Yes.
kids. It's everybody that she impacts because now she's a healthier person. She's able to do things. I have people who come and they're grandparents and they're like, I want to be able to be the cool grandmother who,
Yeah.
takes the kids to do stuff and not the person who's in a wheelchair or, bedridden. We don't have to be that person.
Right. I picture that as like getting to show up and not just have to sit on the sidelines,
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
you know.
Yeah.
And I want to be that way as a parent and grandparent, all of
Right?
it. Just, yes. And it
Yeah.
takes
Well, I
that
mean,
consistency.
it's true. Like most of the people I work with are, they're past having kids, but not all of them. And
Hmm.
even those people, like one of my clients, she for years has wanted to do this backpacking trip with her husband and her boys, but she can't because
Hmm.
she's not in shape. I mean, she's very heavy. And so we started with exactly what you just talked about with your friend. Just go to the house next door.
Hmm.
This week it's one house, next week it's two house. Week after that we'll go with three.
Hmm.
And sure enough, she did it. She did it this year.
Hmm.
Yeah. And right. And these are her boys that she's always wanted to go do this and always felt left home, left behind, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
person who can't keep up. And she doesn't have to be
Yeah.
that person anymore.
Right. Like if anyone's listening and going, take yourself off of that piece that just sits on the sideline. You're allowed to go participate too. You might have
Yeah.
to take those steps, but it's looking at you. It's there. Um, Tell us, I feel like you had some really fun stuff when we were doing the back and forth. Starting strong or starting small was one of the things you had mentioned.
Yeah. So years ago, I used to be like, start strong. You got to do it. Just go in there. It's all in. And and I don't believe that anymore. Like I believe that starting strong is not starting hard. So starting strong now to me is starting smart. It's starting with like maybe someone does, 30 days of no sugar or what, it doesn't matter, right? That's starting strong because I mean, it's work, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's not like back in the day when I was, convinced that everybody had to just get out there and do it all at first. Instead, I think that if we start small and smart, then it's going to stick.
Hmm.
But I've seen more and more like, if somebody goes all in, it's the New Year's Eve or the New Year's resolution thing, right? Or the birthday resolution thing, where I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And overwhelm sets in. And then we stop. After overwhelm comes inertia. Uh,
Yes.
you know,
Yes. I love that you just differentiated the difference between starting strong, what that can look like with doing it smart versus,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You just don't have to be like, all in crazy person. You just start, be smart, keep going, consistency. And, it's my mother, when I was a kid, used to tell me the story of the tortoise and the hare,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And, I mean, that's what she told, that's how I grew up. And she was right.
Yes. Oh my goodness. But again, it's not glitzy. There's nothing flashy, super
Right,
fun about that.
right.
It's just consistency and believing and having faith that it will pay out in the end.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel that way.
Right. Like, your friends doing intermittent fasting and I don't know, and keto
Bingo.
and tossing in a little paleo at night. I don't know. But,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
doing all those things and they're losing the weight
yeah.
fast. But then 90 days down the road, they're probably
Right,
gaining it right back versus, you know, going a little
right.
slower. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I just keep telling clients and listeners, everybody, like, put your horse blinders on right now and just stay
Hmm.
the course. Eyes on your own paper. Because if your
Right.
thing's working, don't let that messaging pull you off track.
Oh, and it's everywhere.
Oh,
It's everywhere.
everywhere. Ah. Yeah.
You
Oh,
can't
and
leave the house or not leave the house. It's just
no,
everywhere.
for sure. Just open up your email or your computer and it pops up on the
Yeah.
side right now. I don't want to leave this before we go back to just the point of the starting strong for any individual who feels like when they look at slow and steady as a almost like weakness, that they don't feel strong because they're not diving all in, that they don't have all that willpower or whatnot. Like, thank you again for telling them you are strong because you are doing, not
Yeah.
because you are pounding the pavement and like breaking yourself in the process.
Right. Because, like, what happens if you get injured?
Right? Then it all
You're,
stops, right?
it all stops and you got to
Mm-hmm.
start over.
Mm-hmm.
So, building up and our bodies, they need that slow, easy movement to get those joints and, all the little connective pieces feeling good so that we can keep going longer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm. So, where is the best place? Everyone going, I love me some Kelly today. Where can we go find you?
The easiest place is to find it on the website, which is fitisfreedom.com. And you can find a link to anything from there, but fitisfreedom.com will get you everything you need from me. Yeah.
Yes, love it. That will be in the show notes. And I like to send everybody off with your last tidbit of advice, wisdom. If you can pour love over our listeners today, give them that one thing that you're like, just I pray that you hear this out of me today. What does that look like?
Yeah. I think that slowing down and giving yourself rest when you need it is probably the thing that people don't expect to hear out of me.
Mm,
But I think it's probably the most important thing we can do. Just rest. If you've done a big event, rest. If you're not feeling good, rest. If you're hurting inside, rest. And rest doesn't have to mean just laying on the couch languishing. It
mm.
can mean just cutting it back a little bit. But really honoring our bodies and the fact that they're here for us. So how can we take care of them? Like, what can I do for myself today?
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today.
Oh,
And we'll,
yeah. Thank you for having me. How much
like,
fun.
oh, so much fun. Yes. All right. We'll talk soon, hopefully.
Okay.